Sorry about that. Look at, they went to the Final Four. ACC finished was only third place for the regular season, but they made the semifinals. And then we were what? We were like the national runners-up. Dang! It doesn't matter. You know what he said? For the first year on the job, you can tell me about how many Division I basketball teams are there in the country? There you go. You know what? We came in number 2. That is a pretty good job for a first season, isn't it?
Woo!
Yeah, it's fun to go watch that, isn't it? To get over to the game and check it out. What happened last year? Oh, it was a whirlwind. Look at that. Still, not too bad, 20-13. But we were preseason number 1. We were supposed to take it all. We didn't even go to the big dance. It was sad. Something went wrong. Something went wrong, right? So let me ask you this question. Do you think Coach Davis is going to do exactly the same thing he did last year, this year? No. No, because look at that. Oh, my gosh. Oh, boy, it's bad. We've already lost 6 of our very best players to the portal. He's going to have to make some changes. Whatever worked the first season that didn't work the second, he's got to figure that out. He's got to figure it out. So I love the Tar Heels. I hope some of you do too. But let me tell you something. Just like with the Tar Heels, for us too, Dave has a lot. Now I'm going to give you my connection to this. This was 2 springs ago. So what does that put us? Like we had done the first 2 units of letters. Our team, our little PLC, got invited to a meeting. We all went down into a little room and boom, there was Noah and there was Tammy. And they showed us the data. And they said, you know what? Something's wrong, because guess what? You guys finished dead last. Our data looks terrible.
In the district.
In the district. In the district. We were the last place. We had the lowest scores. You know what? When you are working as hard as you can and you think you're doing all the right things and you're doing things that worked for you before, and all of a sudden you got the lowest scores in the district, you don't feel good about yourself. Oh, there's some perceived threat, isn't there?
You better connect it.
But you know what? I want you to think about this now. As far as the letters training goes. Who thinks it's hard to find time to do this stuff? Raise your hand. Come on. Or give me something. All of it. You know what? It's hard. It's hard. But there's data. The people that are implementing this, the data is showing that it works. So you know what? We got to move forward. Because you know what? When this spring rolled around this last spring, they weren't saying, what are you doing? They were saying, what are you doing over at Northside?
Yeah.
Now, I can only speak for our team, but you know what? We are looking at ways to implement stuff. We started with Hegarty, right? We added Hegarty last year, made a big difference.
Yep.
We started getting some decodable text, made a big difference. We started tying some of our activities into that. Big difference. People are looking at us now and trying to figure out what we're doing. Now, guess what? We're all going to have to think about what are we going to do to make a difference. Now, yesterday we talked a lot about community matters. We talked a lot about joy matters. We didn't talk a whole lot about learning matters, did we? But learning does matter. You know why? Someone said it, you know, to say some employment agency here. These kids didn't choose to be here. They have to come here every day. It's our job to give them what they need because this learning matters.
Yeah.
And especially learning to read, guess what? If you can't read by the time you get to third grade, well, you are going to stop learning. So we're going to have to be a team as whole schools. You know, let me see what my next slide is. That, oh yeah, learning matters. There we go. Who's heard this? When we know better,
We do better.
Yeah, we do better. When we know better, we do better. Guess what? Even if we thought some of the things we were doing in the past were working, some of the things that we were asked to do were clearly not working. So we need to move on to this new stuff. So we're district-wide mandated. We are mandated. We are how many classes in? We're on 7 now. This is the last semester. We know almost everything that we need to know to fully implement this. And we're going to do it. It's not okay for kindergarten to be doing their job and first grade to be doing their job, and you know, when it goes up. We all have to put the building blocks in place so that these kids can learn to read, okay? And understand what they're reading, because that's the most important goal, right? Yep. So, we know these 3 things. I'm just going to flash through. You know, our instructions got to be explicit, right? They give us a lot of tools. We know exactly what to do. We need to be doing it with fidelity, right? Now here's where we all come in as a team. LETRS is systematic and it's sequential and it's cumulative. We're building on what everybody else does. So what if one person doesn't do their piece? What happens when those kids get to the next grade is they don't have the tools they need to move on to see, right? We're trying to remediate, those kids need a lot catching up to, and they don't feel good about themselves. What kid wants to be in that position? All of us need to do our part to implement what we've learned. And one of the cool things about this is, you know what, a lot of what we do, really, it's very diagnostic in my ways. You can see when you're giving the screeners, and when they're doing their, you know, when they're writing and doing dictations. It's diagnostic. We can start to see where the problems are when we know what the kids really need to learn. So we have to do all parts that it's giving us. Yep. And here we go. This is what we're all doing. A lot of this is more on the, you know, the bottom of the Scarborough's rope, but there is a scope and sequence that aligns with what they need to learn in every grade. We need to be doing all these things and make sure that they've mastered all these skills in order so that by the time they get to 4th grade and 5th grade, they're going to be able to understand what they're reading, okay? All right. So, I want to do something before we get to this. Let me go. All right, let me try this out here. Let's see what we do. I want everybody, we're going to all participate now.
That learning is diagnostic. We are going to be sure that when kids are not grade level, that we can figure out exactly what they need. We have the past assessment, and we have a phonics word inventory, that when kids are not proficient, they're going to get these tools or these assessments provided to them so we can meet them exactly where they are. We don't have to spend half a year trying to figure out, oh, they don't have CBC, oh, they don't have vouching. These assessments will tell you exactly what the kid needs. So from day 1, as we are building our classrooms and we're starting to assess, when you see that a child is below grade level, we're going to administer these 2 things. What Laura is about to do now is the past, and it's the oral language component of our phonics, and then I am going to share with you the word recognition, and as soon as you give that, you'll know exactly where to start the keys. One more thing, girl. This summer Miss Renetta and I worked with, Charlotte and Miss Keisha, Jalen.
She right here too. It's me. I'm right here.
Jalen and Miss Pullen. And, we set up decoders with friends. We figured out exactly where they were, and on a daily basis, they were building their understanding of how to use these decoders. By the end of the first week, I was almost in tears. And I was almost in tears because the confidence of these friends, just seeing us for about 15, 20 minutes a day for a week consistently, it just grew and grew and grew. But we used a tool to figure out exactly where they were. We were able to meet them where they were. This one little guy said, "Is this gonna be like a 2B? I said, "What's a 2B? He said, "That's what I'm reading." I said, "What you doing under 2B? He couldn't articulate it. He didn't know. All he knew was he was at a 2B. So instead of saying you're at a 2B, say that you're gonna be working with vowel tones, or you're working on blends and diagrams. We need to equip them. Y'all, they are sponges. Whatever we give them, they absorb. And these kids, I mean, it's like, come on, love, it's your turn. Hey, I've been on because there's this confidence that she's like, oh, I'm gonna read this passage today. And my third try, when I read the third time, it's gonna be faster than the first. It was amazing. Miss Charlotte or Renata, y'all wanna say anything? Yes.
To piggyback off of that, it wasn't, oh my God, Miss Renetta, Miss Browntree here again, and I got to go and do this. It was simply, hey, come on, you know, it's your turn, and they went. It was, they wanted to do it, they were engaged, we didn't have to do a whole lot of redirecting, they sat, they were focused, and they knew that they could do it. They were so amazed and proud of themselves as each time they read, they got faster and faster. And you were able to see exactly what they needed, even as far as their learning habits. Like, oh, this child, we need to hit them first thing in the morning because after lunchtime, it's downhill because they're tired or whatever. But with that being said, it did my heart some joy to see them. These are students who are complaining about they don't want to go to school. They don't like school. They can't read. They can't. One of the kids said, "I can't read. I can't read." Yes, you can. Yes, you can. And they saw that. Because each time they read faster, and they laughed, and they smiled, and they were happy to see Miss Walker and Miss Roundtree. And so meeting them where they are and boosting that confidence was amazing. Thank you again, Miss Roundtree and Miss Walker.
Thank you so much. And I was just gonna add, along with the confidence, like, when we first started, they were not willing to take much risk in what they were doing, and as we kept doing it and they were able to, they knew what to expect, they knew we want to continue to keep showing up, they began to take more risks. And even when they didn't do well, like when it didn't work, they were able to talk through it, and it wasn't like a complete shutdown. And so that was like so different. Like it went from like a week, first day, then by Friday, like we're like, oh yeah, I could just do this and then try this and da 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 da. Like it was within 1 week, which was crazy.
So I just needed all of that to be said to say that once we use a tool to evaluate these friends, we lead and guide them exactly where they are and build that confidence from day one.
No matter what their level.
No matter what their level. No matter what their level.
And they didn't give up. That was the biggest thing. They did not, like Ms. Walker said, they did not shut down. And we had some friends who are, perceived as being low, but they were so confident that they would take a chance and say, okay, I think this word is the. When at other points in time, they would just shut down and would not make the attempt to sound out anything. It was just amazing. And I think to reiterate, having it being done consistently, like Monday, there was so much of a big difference from Friday versus on Monday. It was just amazing.
All right, so Laura is going to do a part of the past, which is oral language. Are you gonna start at H?
I'm sorry?
All right, where are you gonna start?
I'm gonna start with, I'll start with onset line.
Okay, so this is what, so integrity is what we use to support oral language. And again, kindergarten and first grade, our scores like shot out of the roof just because of the pieces that we were doing consistently, systematic, and just using diagnostic tools to, identify where students are. So we're gonna participate in this before. She's gonna give us the directions, she's gonna tell us what to do, and we need to repeat after her.
Okay. Everybody, say fall. Fall. Now say fall, but don't say all. Yes, that's right. If you say fall without, you're saying all. Good job. All right, let's do some more. Say sand. Sand. Say sand, but don't say and. Say shown. Shown. Don't say sh. Oh. Good. Say wait. Wait. Take away the eight. Say care. Care. Take away the air. Now we're going to try something different. Now say would. Would. Instead of saying say good. Good. No, good job. Say make. Make. Instead of saying say oh. Like. Good. Say red. Red. Instead of saying say said. Now we're going to try something different. All right. Now say the word sled. Sled. Now say sled, but don't say sled. All right, good. Say climb. Climb. Don't say climb. Excellent. You're doing great. All right. Now say beam. Beam. But instead of saying say beam. So you can see this is an example of what they go through. And I want to tell you, I'm going to make an admission here. Some of the more complicated parts of this, I couldn't even do the first time I did it. It was hard for me. Yeah. And I'm a teacher. So we all learn together. Go ahead.
I would say when you move into a new unit, please preview it. Change. You are up there in the moment. Doing last week's rules, it's not going to come off right now. The only other thing I would say too is that this is not a vocabulary activity. There is no need to stop and explain what a line is. This is a boom, 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 boom.
And what I would also like to pick back up with the second part that she did, it was blends. And you think the kids know and understand blends, but orally, like the climb, they take off the C and the L. And y'all, by the time I got to the fourth or fifth one, I'm like, tears running down my face. So I'm laughing. I'm laughing because all of their responses didn't include the blend. They took they were just supposed to take away the first letter, and they took away the entire blend, and it was all wrong. And that was consistent with most of the first graders that I assessed. So just goes to show that like they didn't have Haggerty in kindergarten, but they really didn't understand blends. So even if they moved to 1B because they mastered 2G with the blends, they really didn't have a true understanding of it. Because if they had it orally, they would be able to produce it.
And I'm going to say this. I'm going to say it here.
Say it, girl, say it.
For our children that struggle the most with reading, the ones that come in at the reaching level, they're the wise and young readers. We have to be very, very careful because that is an entirely different way of thinking. And you know what? It seemed like those kids were like learning, and because they have a back. For those ones, I forgot to put that slide in, but there's the pattern. I see a duck. I see a cat. you know what? They're memorizing those stems. They're looking at the pictures. They think they know what's going on. They don't. They think they know how to read. They don't. This is what they need. Because this is how they're going to decode and learn all the patterns that are going to help them read. So, for that, you know, we have to be really, really careful. Now, I will say, once you get up to the blue levels and stuff like that, it does more closely align with what the students need to learn, and they have gone back. Our American Reading Company has recognized the error of some of their ways. Our new manual is starting to include some of this stuff because it didn't before there wasn't any. So they are correct. Thank you.
So, were there recommendations made about whether to do this in like wearing your microphone?
Oh.
And then have that conversation?
Yeah.
Absolutely wear your microphone during Henry.
You're asking the wrong person. You're asking the person with voice over
And, you know, and I hear that, and we have a big voice, but, just from a speech perspective, you can have a big voice, but your vowels. So just something to think about.
Yes, ma'am.
What I was doing, so I did the past, and then we started doing Haggerty in fourth grade, because we knew it was neat. I found that it was hard for me to figure out, using the past line where I was supposed to start at Haggerty. Has anybody merged those two to tell us where the starting point is?
Don't you do Haggerty and
The past has a heading on each, and that should,
That's because we have the bridge, so we have all.
yeah.
Because it's the bridge.
Yeah, the bridge is after K1.
Yeah,
So that's like, oh, they need to fill this gap, they need to fill this gap. But a lot of even our multi-language learners, they haven't had any of this. So if you use the past, you probably need a kindergarten or a first grade manual. Don't go to the bridge. The bridge is, there are gaps and holes and we need to fill.
Oh, I just remember being very confused.
Yes.
I was like, why can't I just figure out? So then
Yeah.
I wound up just giving the Haggerty assessment instead of looking
Yeah,
at the past.
you need to use the the kindergarten or first grade manual.
Is there an extra one floating around somewhere that we can get our hands on? Can we?
Did we get more manuals last year? More Haggerty manuals?